And even if you delete it, it's never, like, gone forever, you know?
Yeah.
You can always still get it back.
Whenever I'm looking at these and people talk quietly, like you talk quiet,
Yeah.
I can always like leave it by them though because I know I talk loud.
Yeah, I just noticed that when you were pushing it towards me. I was like, oh yeah, because I'm talk quietly, especially at night because it's like 10 p.m.
Yeah.
We're drinking tea.
Mm-hmm.
That's when my voice is going to be at its quietest.
Yeah.
I'm going to hate my voice in this podcast.
Stop.
I hate my voice over recording.
Don't
I hear my voice on recordings and I'm like, do I sound like that in real life?
Don't listen
Jesus.
to it then.
Do I sound the same in recordings or in
No, you'll sound different in recording only
Okay,
because
good. Thank God.
Because like here's the thing, so you only sound different because your audio is going through a different like transference of data,
right?
So it sounds different, right?
Thank God.
It's like your voice on camera sounds weird to you because like it's a completely different like structure of how it goes in.
Yeah. It's funny because I'm like always self-conscious about how deep my voice is, and especially like how deep it comes across over like recordings. And so like when I recorded my voicemail recording on my phone, I like purposely used like my customer service voice. I was like, "Hey, you reached Emily," blah blah blah, like super like girly. And then Quincy once called me, and he got my voicemail, and he was telling me the other day, he's like, did you record your voicemail when you were like 12? And I was like, no, I recorded it like recently. What are you talking about? Because I forgot about it.
Yeah.
And he's like, you sound like a child. And I was like, oh yeah, because I was like trying to sound girlier because I'm self-conscious about my voice. And he's like, you're so ridiculous.
Funny.
That was funny.
Do you miss Quincy?
I do miss Quincy. I like Quincy a lot. He was really fun to work with, and he's a really good friend.
Yeah. You guys should get together though. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I hope the guys come to my birthday party because I did invite everybody to my birthday party.
I think it's hard for you to like ask people to hang out. I think you forget how much friends you actually have.
Yeah, I think because
sorry, can I say something? Mm-hmm. I think because people perceive you as like, oh, Emily likes to do her own thing. She likes to be alone.
Yeah.
Like she's a very independent person, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, in reality, it's because you're too nice to, like, bother people to hang out.
Right. And,
but, like, they take it as, like, oh, that's what Emily does. Emily, like, she likes to be alone. But in reality, it's, like...
That's, like, my toxic trait for myself is, like, self-isolation and stuff. Like, when I'm feeling self-conscious or when I don't like myself very much, then I'm just like, oh, nobody else likes me, so I'm not going to bother anybody. So then I isolate myself. But then I do that too often, and people are just like, oh, she just is a homebody and she likes to be alone. Then, like, but it's really just like me being depressed.
Yeah, but if people have plans and stuff, they don't invite you because
they think I'd rather just stay home. Yeah. That's probably what happened with the party that other night too, like with the hockey game thing. Yeah.
But then, like, you see that, you're like, whoa, why didn't they invite me? It's like, well,
it's true.
Hi, baby.
Apparently the cat's going to be in this podcast episode.
Hello, sweetie.
Hi, baby.
Yeah, of course you can stay with me.
Yeah.
There's no questions. And then if your brother comes along, he comes along.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I need to get better at, like, trusting that people are my friends because they like me, not... Because, like, I have this issue where, like, I feel like... Because, here's the thing. Growing up, the kids... you scared her. Growing up, the kids in high school were really mean to me, right? And so, like... But they'd always be, like, nice to me when it was just me with them or, like, if we were in class or something. But once it was, like, a social setting and they were with their friends and they were, like, really mean to me. And so it's always been, like, I don't know when I can trust whether or not a person is nice to me because they're nice to me or because they want to be my friend or if it's just because nobody else is around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, when my friends are nice to me at work, when it's just us hanging out at work... then it's like, oh, that's nice, but then it's hard to trust that they're still going to be just as nice to me in a social setting or that they still want to hang out with me in a social setting because, like, that's what I grew up being treated as. Like, everybody was very, like, two-faced towards me, you know? So I could never trust the way a person treats me, especially because, like, even my ex was the same way behind closed doors. He was super lovey and nice and, like, texted me all the time, told me, like, he said he was falling for me first. He asked me to be his girlfriend first, everything else, blah, blah, blah. But then, like, if we'd go out in public, he'd pretend I didn't exist. And, like, we never went on a real date.
It's funny that you say that because, like, I have the same... I was talking about it with Amanda where I was listening, but can you just repeat what you just said?
That, like... I can never trust if a person...
Yeah, okay. So me and Amanda were talking about that too because, like, when I was a kid, my family was, like, pretty mean to me and, like, abusive and shit like that. But, like, so I grew up in a mindset of, like, these people that say they're family, that we're together in this, yada, yada, us against the world, blah, blah, blah. I can't trust them.
Right.
And so now...
I get that because I also had a shitty home life.
Yeah, when I meet people... mine was worse. But when I meet people...
100%.
It's funny when we had that competition. When
we first met, when we were, talking on the phone, or, texting, because we were like, I have trauma, I have a shitty childhood, blah, 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 I don't want to tell you about my shit, because, I had a shitty time, and you're like, I bet you I could win, and I was like, fucking bet, so then we, trauma dumped right off the bat, and then we were both like, okay, fair, you win, but that was shitty, too.
It was like a really
weird, okay, it was really definitely shitty.
It was a really weird competition to win. I was like, nice, I won. Then I was like, oh,
who's the most traumatized? Yeah. I bet it was a bittersweet win to be like, yes, I won because you're competitive, but then also yeah, I'm the most fucked up.
Yeah, because I was in my room by myself and I was like, fuck yeah, I won. Then the moment later I was like, oh, I did win, didn't I?
Yeah.
That sucks.
That sucks.
But so I don't, it's hard for me to trust people.
Yeah.
And so me and Amanda were talking about that when she came into my life. Mm-hmm. I had a hard time trusting she had her best intentions in me. And the other thing too is when she gives me advice, I have a hard time believing that she has the best intentions.
Right.
You know? Even if I love her and she's one of my best friends, it's hard for me to believe that she has the best intentions.
Right.
And stuff. And I think that I do that to you too, where I don't trust you sometimes.
Right.
You know, I might do that. I don't know when or where. I don't want to hash up stupid shit.
No.
But I'm sure I've done that before.
Right.
And the only person, here's the crazy thing, and we've said this before, but Sasha's my favorite person because she's the only person when she says something, I don't know why, but I
fully believe it.
Yeah, I don't take her, I don't think she's on anyone's side.
Right.
I think she just has an opinion.
Right.
Which is crazier because I have issues with women.
Right.
Right? I have issues with women that I'm working on daily, yada yada. But for whatever reason, Sasha's a woman, she's a mother.
Yeah.
And I still trust her no matter what.
And you knew her while you were in your active addiction.
Yeah.
It's not even she's a new friend that came out of nowhere.
But
maybe that's partially why though, because
well, no, because I don't fully trust Kevin or Patrick or
yeah, I guess
when they tell me things, I always have this sense of are they on the other person's
I think
side?
it's just because Sasha's just so authentically herself. Always.
I think
it's just she just I get what you're saying that you don't know why but you feel you can trust her because I felt that right off the bat when I met Sasha. The first time I met Sasha I just instantly felt safe and comfortable and I don't know why but I think she just emits this energy of just goodness, you know?
Yeah.
That there's no real bad in her.
Talking and I forget what she said. That bothered me. Not that she bothered. Oh yeah, she said that my love for Anna wasn't meant to be.
Real, yeah,
it wasn't real.
Right.
I didn't get mad.
Right.
But usually I would get mad.
Yeah, normally you get really mad when people say that.
Yeah, if someone said that, I'd be like, don't say that. My love was real.
Yeah.
Right? Otherwise I wouldn't be here.
Don't talk to me like I was a child.
Yeah, don't. Not even that. If it's not real, then why am I here?
Right. Why are you guys still best friends?
Yeah, don't tell. Yeah, we're best friends now. And the only reason why we're best friends because that love was real.
100%.
Don't tell me it's not real.
Right.
But when Sasha said that, I just was that's her opinion.
Yeah, she just doesn't get it.
Yeah, and that was fine with me though.
Right.
I just looked at her and she looked at me and I was I didn't, yada yada. But I didn't feel any resentment towards her or hate or whoa, I can't believe Sasha said that. I was Sasha said a thing. I still love her, no matter what.
Yeah, I don't know. Sasha just emits this just safe and comfortable positive energy, you know what I mean? I'm sure she's done some shitty things in her life and I'm
100%.
I'm sure
killed a man.
And I know I believe that and I know that she's not perfect but she's still just I still honestly believe that there's no real bad in her, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's just a pure good person even if she's done bad things or said bad things or whatever. I know she's not perfect, nobody's perfect, but
no,
she's still just just a good person to her core and you can sense that, you know?
Yeah. I'm excited to go on my trip.
Yeah, that's good. You leave tomorrow morning. That's so crazy.
Yeah. I'm going to miss you.
Less than 12 hours. I'm going to miss you too.
It's kind of crazy because I think every podcast episode you get brought up.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny.
I know. I thought that was funny in the first one, Amanda. I got brought up.
Yeah.
And then in Taylor's, it was my friend Taylor and
yeah. And
I was there.
You're kind of this daunting ghost.
Yeah.
All around almost like a myth.
Yeah. We should have had you do a lot more podcast episodes where I wasn't in any of them. And just like I just keep getting brought up as just like Emily.
Well, I mean,
Nobody's like very non-specific.
There's been 4 podcast episodes, and like that's what happened,
That's
right?
true.
There's
Very like non-specific about me, and then people are probably just like sitting at home
Sasha,
like, who is this Emily?
Yeah,
you know, who is this person?
You are my lover.
The man, the myth, the legend, Emily.
The lover.
The lover.
Yeah, I think because here's the thing: we are in an open relationship.
Yeah.
Because I'm not ready for like a real relationship right now.
Right.
And I've said this before to like a lot of people that like I appreciate you letting me do that, you know, because like I'm just not ready for like a relationship just yet. Just not that like what's it called? That
like that commitment.
Yeah, because I think we've talked about this before, but like I think it was because like we because I was in like a relationship with Kaylee, my son's mother,
right,
for like 5 years, and she's laughing because it's a cat, but I love him. I love him
he's his son. Okay,
Yeah.
Maleficent is my daughter. Boots is your son.
Yes, exactly.
That's it.
So like I was with Kaylee for 5 years, and like that really, and we were just doing drugs like all the fucking time. Like that was a terrible relationship. You know, and we're good now because like I'm sober and like we're not like coexisting together. So like she's good too. She's a good mom and she's a good like person. Just something about me and Kaylee, like we're not good together.
Yeah.
We bring out the worst in each other.
Yeah.
But when we're far apart and it has something to do with like Boots, we're good together.
Yeah.
Right? But like
100%.
we can't be like 5 minutes together.
Yeah, as like co-fur parents, you guys are great together.
Yeah.
And like as kind of friends, like just like distant friends.
Yeah, like we don't dish about anything, or we don't talk about anything besides Boots.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
But we're good like
but
that.
Like,
but everything else is
I think when you guys were in a relationship, there's just like something about the two of you together that it's just like just brought up both of your worst toxic traits. Yeah. And that's not because either of you are bad people. Yeah. That's not either of your fault. It's just the way happens. Your guys' dynamic.
Yeah. And then so I was in the relationship with that for 5 years, just like not living my life. And then after that, the pandemic hit, and then I went to go live in a hotel. And then I was like in a hotel in like West Lock by myself, getting like physically and verbally abused by my general manager, Glenn.
Right.
For like 2 years.
Right.
And I was stuck in a hotel, not living my life again, like just saving up money, just trying to do my best to work in a really shitty time. You know? And then you came in my life. But it was like one of those things, it was like perfect person, wrong time. Yeah. You know, where it's like, I'm not ready for a relationship. I'm not ready for that officialness, you know? But like, I love you so much that I just don't want you out of my life, you know? Yeah. Like I see a future with you and I want that. Yeah. But right now, like, especially like since I'm leaving for like 3 months to LA on this trip that I planned 2 years before I met you. Yeah. Like I'm just not ready for like, not to be held down, but I'm just not ready to have someone. To that. I'm not ready to have someone in my life that can like alter my plans. Right. To like a fundamental like, where are you? Right. Like you need to come home. Right. You know what I mean? Right. Like because like if you and I are in a more formal relationship. Right. And we will be. I swear to God. I believe you. You gave me an imaginary ring this weekend. I get it. I did give you an imaginary ring, but I do see a relationship with you, and I do love you like so much. But the problem is, it's like right now, since I'm like focusing on my career, and I'm still trying to have fun, right? And I'm like trying not be like a single douchey dude, but I just want to have a bit feel like you have a little freedom. Yeah, have a bit of time where I have just some freedom, because like for like a lot of years I didn't have freedom. I was like not saying like Kaylee confounded me to a relationship, but I was like doing a lot of drugs, like, and I didn't have any money and I was gross, yada yada. And then like before that I was homeless and everything. That's what I was gonna say. Even before that you were in your active addiction, so like, or you were homeless or whatever. Like you were always trapped in some way. Yeah. In some sort of form of life that you couldn't like enjoy living life. So and not as in like, oh, enjoy living life, having sex with a bunch of women, blah blah. But just like actually just healthy single person living your life. Yeah, without having, because like if you and I are in like an actual like relationship, like exclusively. Like you get a say in like what I do fundamentally. Like you have to. Right. You know what I mean? Like that's just how a relationship works. Right. But I'm not ready for that person to be able to tell me what I can do and what I can't do just yet. Right. You just want to enjoy being with me without feeling like you have to run things by me before you do things. And like here's the thing, like we have been in an open relationship for like a little while, and I've been in Edmonton for like at least a month, like in this condo.
Yeah, you've been in the condo.
And like I haven't been like I'm not on dating apps.
Right.
That's the thing. I'm not on dating apps. I'm just like working really hard on like editing, filming, yada yada.
Right.
And so it's like I just want that a little longer.
Right.
I don't have like someone here that I have to not because like you don't make me hang out with you, but like emotionally, if you're here, I want to hang out with you.
Right.
So I just don't want that just yet.
And I think whether or not I actually make you answer to me and make you come to me and make you like accountable to me or whatever, whether or not I physically or tell you that you have to do those things, I think that if you decide to be in a relationship with somebody, that you're just automatically going to feel like you have to, whether or not I tell you to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not just about like the constraints that I might put on you, because I know that I'm not that kind of girlfriend that like, I'm not going to be like, you have to ask me permission to go out with your friends, or you don't have to like, whatever, like give me a heads up or whatever, that's fine. But like, you know what I mean? But like, I get that you feel like you should or will have to if you're in a relationship. And so like as hard as the open relationship has been for me, because like we both know that that's never been who I am, that's never been what I've wanted.
Because I don't think even like before you met me, you could see yourself like today doing this.
I never even really dated around. I've only dated one guy before you. Like I'm not a date around kind of girl. So like I'm a serial monogamist for sure. Yeah. So like being in an open relationship has been weird and difficult for sure for me. But I think let me finish. I think it's worth it. I think it's been worth it because I completely understand why you need that. Yeah. I know that it's not because you want to be able to sleep around and just like you're stringing me along so that you always have a backup plan or whatever. Like I'm sure some people on the outside might think that way. But yeah, that's the thing. I leave clothes here. I leave toothbrush. I leave makeup, whatever, toiletries, whatever. Like I half live here. In fact, the last 2 weeks I have been living here. Yeah. I haven't left in 2 weeks.
That's the thing. It's not about like a sexual thing for me to be open. Right. Like it might have been like in the beginning because like I was just coming out of the
I think
hotel.
that's what you thought you wanted at the beginning.
But like now it's just like I just need that like spiritual freedom to like because like when I come into this condo like by myself without having like a relationship tethered to me, I go straight into the office, work on my thing, pack up my film stuff, fucking go. I don't have to say bye to anyone. I don't have to say, hey, I'm going out for a little bit, I'll see you later. I don't have to tell anyone anything. I choose to tell you things, and that like that's nice. But I don't have to. And I just right now I just need that option not to be able to have like stop, be like, oh hey, this is my day, how was your day? Da, da, da. I need to fucking go. You know? Yeah,
especially because you're like your trip is here and like you'd been leading up to your trip, so like you had to be really on the ball to making sure you're ready for your trip. Like after your trip it'll be a little different, I'm sure.
And the other thing too is like
you'll always be busy.
Since I'm coming out of an addiction, right? Because like I'm not only 3 years clean. It's a big deal. I should
yeah, of course, proud of yourself. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, but overall, like after you come out of addiction, you're supposed to be like alone for like a year,
right? Like not date anybody.
Yeah. And so, like, I think this is a fair compromise, you know?
Yeah, because you didn't really do that. Like, when you first got sober, not long after you started dating Anna. And that was great. I think she was good for you to have her in your life, especially when you first went to the hotel. Like, it was really good having somebody there emotionally for you.
But the problem with that was, like, I was stuck in a hotel. Right. I wasn't, like, single by myself. Right. Right? Like, where was I going to go?
That's the thing, too, right? Like, even if you had been single at that point, like, what were you going to do? You were in Westlock in a hotel.
Yeah. So, like, I feel like I need to be single, like, where I have more freedom to really, like, I don't know, not test myself, because that sounds weird, but, like, learn how to be by myself. And I think I have learned how to, like, be by myself without being dependent. Because I think that's what happened with Kaylee. Like, I became too dependent in that relationship. Right? Because, like, that relationship allowed me to do drugs, so I became dependent on that. Like, I never, like, thought, hey, we should break up, because I got too comfortable in that relationship. Right.
I think that kind of happened with Anna, too, though. I think you became dependent on having her emotional support. Yeah. And I think that's why you fell so hard so fast for her, because you got dependent on, like, having her emotionally.
Yeah, 100%. But I do still think...
I think it was a good thing you had her when you did.
Yeah, no
and I
doubt.
do think the love between you both was totally real. I think it's
gonna be so funny when she listens to one of these, and like there's like
weird.
yeah, well it's gonna be hilarious because she's like, oh, I haven't listened to your podcast yet. I'm like, oh no, listen to it, but like everyone's like, Anna was a bitch. Just kidding.
You're like, I know you didn't like her to Sasha. Sasha's like, it's not that I don't like her, but like, but like I get it. Like you weren't always in the best headspace when you were with her, and I don't blame her for that. Like I think
Here's
you
the
just
thing,
like
I
think your addiction switched on to Anna.
I think
because
so too.
you were so early in your sobriety when you met her.
Here's the thing. I think that early on, like it was love, and like I really did care for her. And at the end, it was still love. I really did care for her.
100%.
But like somewhere in the middle, in between, when things got really bad with Glenn and me, like at work,
right?
Like I started being dependent on it,
right?
Emotionally on her,
right?
And that's where like things like spiraled out,
right?
Which is good. I'm glad like things didn't work out. I'm glad like her and I fell off because like her and I are really good friends.
Yeah.
Do I wish some things didn't happen between us? Yeah, sure. Fair. Especially like the pain.
Right.
I wish I was. The problem is though Anna, like it's really hard for her to like tell. It's hard for her to talk emotionally,
right.
And like we even had that really big talk about it on the fire, you, me, and her.
Mm-hmm.
And like how she explained it. Like I would tell them like this is what you told me, and this is what hurt me. This is what hurt me the most. Right. And then there was like a moment of like, oh no, I meant this. I'm like, then fucking say that. Yeah. Fuck, you should have said that. Then she's like, it's hard for me to talk like that. I'm like,
yeah, she's definitely not the best at expressing emotions.
Yeah,
that's definitely not her forte.
But then like
she's a little more closed off.
I know. But then like, it's good though.
Yeah.
That that like that stuff isn't good, and I wish she was more like. To the point of how she felt, then I didn't have to figure it out by myself. Right. And then I am full of resentments and anger that like figuring it out by myself, I went to the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, she never loved me. She never cared. She never appreciated anything I did because like that's where I trailed off to.
Right.
But if I feel like if she took like a minute to be like, hey, this is actually how I feel, this is why, yada yada, then I would like have not trailed off so far into like a wrathful, vengeful hate.
Right.
You know, like I'm slowly coming back, but it takes time. But anyways, I am glad like we broke up, and I'm glad like things didn't work out because I met you. Mm-hmm. You know, like, and I think everything happens for a reason.
Agreed.
Like, I think, like even Kaylee, like her and I, we broke up, but it's kind of crazy. Because like when me and Kaylee broke up at the beginning of the pandemic, I overdosed, and the only reason why I overdosed is because like, well, not the only reason, but like one of the big reasons was because Kaylee wasn't there to like, because she always stopped me from going too far with my drugs. Right. And the moment she wasn't there, I overdosed because like no one was there to stop me. Right. And then that gave me the humbleness of like, oh, it's me. I'm the problem.
Right. Like in a way, she definitely enabled you a lot, and I think you enabled her a lot. And I think that the only reason why she did as many drugs as she did was because she was with you.
Yeah, because like now she doesn't do anything.
And it's not like she's sober. Like it's not like she was in an addiction. She still like smokes weed once in a while. She still parties and hangs out and drinks. But like she doesn't do drugs nearly the same rate that she used to do them. Like she doesn't do hard drugs ever anymore. And it's not because she's sober. It's just because that was never really her thing. Yeah, she just only did it because it was around, and you did it all the time.
Yeah, I enabled her 100%.
Right, but then
that's what I mean by.
And I think she did also enable you a bit too. But I agree. I think that like she held you back a little bit.
100%. She held me back. Yeah. But here's the other thing. I think she enabled me, but I think I don't think I know. My addiction used her passiveness to enable me. Right. Like I put her in my life because I wanted to do more drugs, and she let me. Right. Right. And then like the whole Anna thing. Like, if that didn't happen, I wouldn't know. Because, like, when I was, like, in love with her and, like, I loved her, there was a definite, like, obsession over her that I had. Right. And, like, if we didn't break up and I didn't see that obsession from, like, afar, from, like a perspective of, like, not being in love with her, I wouldn't know what real love is when, like, you're around. Because, like, you and me, when I'm with you, like, I'm not as obsessive or, like, crazy or, like... fanatic about it, but like we've talked about it, like that's what love's supposed to be. Right. But because my addiction is like very like black and white, all or nothing. Yeah. I think that love is like this obsessive thing. Like you need to be in love,
100%.
attracted all the time, 100%, always, forever.
Right.
Like, that's not correct. I think that's me filling the void that, like, my family left.
Right.
Right? Because I didn't have enough love, so now, like, I want all the love.
Right.
So when I find someone that I can be in love with fully, then I get, like, obsessive over.
Right.
Right?
Right. And I think I kind of have that same problem because I also was like, was lacking in love from my family
I was
growing
worse.
up. I get that yours was worse, but I also had that problem, and I think that's also why I wanted to jump into a relationship with us so fast. You know what I mean? And I kind of scared you. Yeah, you and me. Because I kind of scared you away a little bit at the beginning there, like, because we were kind of exclusive for a while, and then I just got really into it really fast, and I was, like, really in love with you. Like, I was ready to fucking get married, like, a couple months in or whatever, and you were like, hang on, this is too much, I'm not ready. And that's when we decided to take a little bit of a step back. And that step back was really, really hard for me at the beginning because I had become so, like, I think also obsessively in love with you because I was also, like, feeding as much love as I could possibly get from you because I had been lacking love for so long. You know what I mean? And, like, even from, like, not just from my parents, but, like, from men in general. Like, I dated, and my ex, like, told me he loved me or whatever, but he never really treated me well or treated me like he loved me. So when I finally felt like somebody was, like, not just saying that they loved me, but, like, showing it all the time, then I just, like, I think I just got too dependent on that and, like, tried to, like, suck it out of you like a love vampire. And I think right now, though, we found a happy medium. I agree.
But also, I really think, like, overall, like, we've grown so far. Like, but I think we needed all those other things to find right now, right? Like, I needed to be obsessed over Anna to know that, like, this is love. Right. And then I needed to know, like, what I want and, like, what's good for me and, like, what's good for us based on, like, my past relationships kind of thing. Right.
And then you've helped me learn that because at the beginning of ours, I also felt like to be in love with somebody or to be in a relationship with somebody that, like, you're supposed to be deeply in love with them all the time. And, like, kind of like the way you felt that you were supposed to be in love with Anna. Yeah. And so then because you had that experience, you helped me learn that, like, it's okay if we're not, like, every second of the day thinking about how in love with each other we are. Like, we know that the love is there, we know that we're in love with each other, and that we love and care about each other. Yeah. So it's like, there are, like, frequent moments where we're like, oh, this is so nice, I love you so much. But it's not, like, in the forefront of our mind always an obsession of, like, oh, I love you and I need you.
The other thing, too, it's like I've learned is, like, if I really want something, like, obsessively and, like, to the point I can feel it in my heart, it's probably not what I want.
It's probably not good for you.
It's probably not good for me. You know what I mean? Like, if I compulsively want something, kind of like ice cream, for example. Like, the other day you gave me a box of ice cream and you told me, can you put this in the freezer?
It wasn't even just ice cream, for the record. I had a grocery bag that had 2 boxes of ice cream bars and some frozen veggies, and I was like, hey, can you throw these in the freezer? And he's like, okay, sounds good. And then I go to the room because he was recording a podcast with somebody else. He comes back to the room when he finishes and he's like, I ate one of the ice creams. And I was like, okay, that's fair. Did you put everything in the freezer? And he's like, yeah, I put the ice cream in the freezer. And I was like, what about the vegetables? He's like, there was vegetables in the bag? I was like, well, I told you to put everything in the freezer. And you said, I thought you told me to eat the ice cream. I was like, how did you get that from that? It was just like, you saw ice cream and your brain was like, I think she told me to eat this. And then you just ate it and forgot about everything else.
But here's the thing, that's compulsiveness, right? Like, 100%. My compulsiveness was like, oh, you love ice cream. She said, get you ice cream. And I was like, nice.
You saw, well, and that's the thing, like, you saw your favorite ice cream flavor, so you're like, oh, she bought this for me. She wants me to have it. So then you just, brain decided it's for me.
But, like, that compulsiveness I learned from, like, being in love with Anna because, like, I compulsively wanted to be with her, and so that wasn't good for me. And, like, it didn't work out. It didn't work out not because of that, but it was never supposed to work out.
I agree.
But because I learned that, now I know that, like, I'm not compulsively in love with you, and, like, that's a good thing. That's why it's supposed to meant to be. Because, like, you and I were just normal and good for each other. But we're not, like, compulsively in love. And I think that's what makes us better than everyone else.
And I think we talked about that.
Better than anyone else.
I think we kind of talked about that, like, early on when we were talking. I remember that, like, we both agreed that, like, people always think that it's great when you feel fireworks when you first meet somebody, and you're like, oh, this is amazing because it's fireworks and whatever. But like we both agreed that like a real long-term relationship should feel more like a campfire. Like it slowly ignites.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then it's warm and it's comfortable and it's safe, but it burns for a while. You know what I mean? Whereas like fireworks are amazing and they're incredible and they're beautiful to see, but they're gone so fast.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like a campfire is really what you want. And I think that's kind of what we've had. And that's really nice. Yeah.
It's been hard though.
It has been hard.
Fights.
We have had some fights, and we have gotten close to like fully breaking up.
Yeah,
a number
fully
of times.
Being out of each other's lives.
Like we've both had plenty of moments where we were like, I don't think we're gonna make it through this one.
No,
like I think this is it. That's the end.
But the thing is, it's like, I think if it was going to be over, it was going to be over.
Right. I agree.
Here's the thing I like about us though.
Yeah.
Is that whenever we have like a really big fight, like a huge fucking fight,
like ready to walk away fight.
Yeah. We tell each other what we don't like.
Right.
Angrily though, we tell each other very angrily what we don't like.
Right. But it still soaks into the other one's brain subconsciously. Subconsciously, we hear it.
Yeah. But the nice thing is like. And this is what I think divides us from like the Notebook love.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Notebook love of like,
where it's like fighting all the time, toxic.
Well, yeah, because like the Notebook teaches people like, oh, if you're fighting and like no one, if you're fighting for the guy, if you're fighting with the guy and like no one wants you two to be together, that's probably love. That's what love is. It's about fights and about getting over it and like sticking together. It's like, no, it's
passion and fiery and whatever.
Yeah, it's not. That's
not a healthy relationship.
That's a book.
Yeah.
Like Kyle isn't going to fucking build you a house.
Right.
So, Kyle's my always go-to.
It's always your go-to, like, douche or terrible guy kind of name, which is funny because you just did a podcast with a guy named Kyle. So.
That's true. That guy was great, though.
That Kyle is pretty great. Yeah, he's all right.
But anyways.
We don't want to get his head too big. He's all right.
But the one thing I like about our relationship is that whenever we fight, even like a really big fight, the next day we always put what we fought about to the forefront.
Right.
We're always like, hey, you're doing that thing again. Remember? Can you please stop? And then we are like, sorry, you're right. Yeah. Or we catch ourselves and we're like, hey, I just did that thing that you say you didn't like. I'm sorry.
I said I wouldn't do it, and I'm sorry.
So let's continue on. So like we always have grown past the fight, which is nice. But what's always scared me about our fighting was like I never wanted to be like we fight and then we forgive each other but we don't change. But in our heads we're like, oh,
it's fine because we forgave each other.
Yeah, it's fine. We stuck together. Like oh, we just fought for like an hour about this thing, but we stuck together. It's like that wasn't. That's not right though. You can't just stick together, and like sticking together doesn't make you stronger. It's the growing that makes you stronger as a couple. 100%. Like if you stick together just because you're lonely, that's why you stuck together. Right. But that doesn't mean you're strong as a couple, or you're in love as a couple. That just means you're obsessed. Exactly. You're compulsive.
Yeah. Right. That's the thing. And like dangerously codependent.
Yeah. Codependency.
I think that's also been like the thing that I feel like why the hard times have been worth it for us. Yeah. Because like we've had some really hard times and some really big fights and some really big issues. But like we'll get it out, we'll have our big fight, we'll take some space, and we'll be like, I don't think this is going to work out, so we take some space apart from each other, but there's always something that pulls us back together, and not in a toxic way, because we always come back together, and we sit down, and we have a conversation, and we are always like, okay, look, I know that this is what I did wrong, and I'm sorry for that, I shouldn't have done that was fucked up, and whatever, and I apologize, and I'm going to try to work on that, and we always do, and then we're always like, but also, I really didn't appreciate this thing you did or this thing you said. And then we're always like, okay, you're right. I understand where you're coming from. I appreciate us talking about it. And then we do actually actively work on those things. Like I don't feel like our big fights have been about the same thing.
No, that's also what I really like is like whenever we have like a really big fights, and I can I think we've only had like a good 6 really big fights. Yeah. Like really big fights. Right. I'm not talking about like little.
I think probably even less than that, but yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe close to that.
I think 6.
Anyway.
But anyways.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. So like, but what I like is like each fight is about a new thing. Right. And because like that means we've grown from the last thing. Right. We never like reoccur fights. Right. right? It's always about like a new thing. And if it's about an old thing, it's because a new thing got brought up.
Yes.
Like we fought about something old and it got brought up again because we did something wrong.
Right.
But it's like from another angle almost.
Right.
Right. And we just have to like steam
A
out
different
that.
side of it,
Yeah, we
yeah.
just have to steam out that wrinkle because something
Right.
else came up.
100%.
And we're like, oh shit, let's fix this thing now.
Yeah.
But the problem is it's like,
Oops, I forgot to turn that shit over.
yeah. Right? Oh yeah, we forgot to
On the
put that in the fine print of what happens when that happens.
Yeah.
Because all our fights are like, oh, we forgot to put this in the fine print.
Yeah.
We need to put this in the
Right.
fine print now of the contract of love. Can you
Yeah.
put this in and we fight about it?
Right.
We're
And I
like
think
two lawyers.
I think the reason we've had so many big
That's
fights,
good
because
analogy.
6 big fights in like a year and 3 months seems like a lot. But I think the problem is because we both.
It's been more than 6 months.
Yeah, that's true. It's not like one every month or whatever. It's
No.
It's not constantly fighting. But like, I think the reason why we've had that is because we both bring in a lot of really toxic traits. And I mean both of us. Like I bring in a lot of like jealousy and trust issues and a lot of like toxic traits towards myself that I project onto you, like my self-hate sometimes. I project that onto you, and like a lot of like my self-doubt and stuff like that. And so and you bring in your own issues from your own past and whatever. And so I think that like that's why we tend to get into big fights, because we do both come in with a lot of trauma and a lot of toxic traits. But that's again like what I appreciate about it is like we always, every time we get into a big fight, it's because we've moved on to a new toxic trait to work through.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
we work through that one, and then if we find another one, we get into a big fight, but then we work through it again. It's like we're just slowly breaking down our toxic traits. I feel like every time we get into a fight.
But it's not about like, it's what I like about us too. It's like, it's not that like we break down toxic traits and we make that person change because they're wrong.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like completely wrong.
Both always work on
Yeah, and like we find like a safe compromise
100%.
where we change what we can
Right.
and we move on from there.
I think that's another thing, is that because I was single for so long, that like I'm very stuck in my ways and very stuck in my idea of what everything should be, and because you were trapped for so long that you're very stuck in what you need and what you think you should get and whatever else. So I think that like a big thing for us has been learning to compromise.
Yeah.
Like we've both compromised quite a bit of what we thought we needed or what we thought we wanted or what we thought this should be to make things work between us. And I think in the best way. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like some people compromise in bad ways, or one person compromises way more than the other.
Yeah, like we don't ever do like ultimatums.
Yes.
We've done one ultimatum and like that didn't work. But like now we just don't do ultimatums because again we learned that doesn't work. We need to find compromises, and so we found compromises.
Yeah, and that's
right?
the thing.
Like,
so then every time
don't work. Like when a guy or girl's like, oh, you just got to do this like right now, and this is what you got to do.
It's like if you don't do this, that's it. Blah blah blah. It's just like.
It's like you're taking a person's like choice away.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can't expect somebody to completely change and have you put in no work at all, so that
that's
the only reason. Because that's exactly what that is.
Yeah.
That's you demanding that the other person change completely that thing. Like not even just make steps, like completely change that thing overnight, and you don't have to do anything. And that's not how that works. You have to learn to be more patient. If you don't like something that somebody does, you have to learn to be a little more patient with them, and then they can slowly work on that. But nothing is ever going to change overnight. And I think that's a big thing too, that like we've realized that like none of our toxic traits are going to go away overnight. None of our traumatic issues that we're working through together are going to go away overnight. But we've learned to be very patient with each other. And like, I agree that like we always just come back and have a conversation and learn how to figure out a way to compromise to work through that issue. You know?
Exactly.
It's never one of us is completely wrong. It's always like, we both did some wrong here. Here's what we both should do. And it's nice.
This is nice.
Yeah, it is nice. Because, like,
jealousy.
Yeah, this conversation. I agree. Yeah. Because, like, my jealousy and my trust issues and my self-hatred and all of my own issues are going to come out in any relationship I'll ever have. You know what I mean? Like, whether or not we work out, I'm still going to have those toxic traits. They're not just a toxic trait that you brought out. They're just toxic traits I have from past traumas in general. So it's just like, it's nice. It's honestly, it's nice dating somebody. As hard as it's nice dating somebody who also has a lot of toxic traits, as weird as that sounds. Because then it's like, you know how to be patient with me to work through mine, and
I
I know
be
how
patient
to
with
be
myself.
exactly, and I know how to be more patient with you to work through yours because I know that I want you to be patient with me.
Yeah.
So then it's been helpful that we both have toxic traits because we both can like grow at the same time alongside each other. I think if I dated somebody totally normal, they wouldn't have the same kind of patience with my shit, you know, because I'm crazy. In all fairness, I've brought out some crazy in this relationship for sure.
Yeah, I'd say. Mm-hmm. But your cat makes it all worth it.
Yeah, she's perfect.
Yeah.
She's so cute. She's literally the best. Same with Bootsy. He's the most handsome boy.
Boots is amazing.
He's such a handsome man.
Such a sweet boy. Yeah, you can definitely trick him and go into that kennel.
Oh, yeah.
He's so dumb.
For sure.
Especially
if I leave the door open all the time.
Well, no, if you just like lift the top up, he'll jump in.
That's true.
He's dumb.
And I feel like if I put some treats in there, he'd be like, ooh, snacks.
Yeah.
Because I give him snacks all the time, and he's like, trusts me when I give him snacks.
Yeah.
So he'll probably be like, ooh, snacks.
The problem is, like, once you do that, you'll never be able to do it again. It's a one-trick pony.
After that, I'm going to have to learn how to pick him up without him clawing my eyes out.
Yeah, because he won't let you. He won't let you do it again. He's smart.
That's the thing.
You can only trick him once.
He's a little gullible, but he's not stupid. Yeah. So like he'll fall for it the one time, maybe twice if I'm lucky. If I like spread it out far enough in time, but I think eventually he'll learn.
The thing is, like he lets me do the kennel thing only because he loves me.
Right.
He trusts me. He's like every time he's like, "Dad, you did it again." I'm like, "I know."
And like we're slowly building trust, but he does not trust me as much as he trusts you.
No, because like, Kaylee can pick. He only lets two people pick him up. He lets me and he lets Kaylee pick him up. Mm-hmm. That's it. Mm-hmm. But the thing is like. He gets more nervous when Kaylee puts him in the kennel than me. I think it's because I'm just calm about it, but Kaylee's kind of loud about it. Right. She's like, "Come on, Boots, let's do this. Come on, get in the thing." Yeah. And like she opens the door in front of him, and like the thing's making noise, she's making noise, and she's like just trying to do it quickly, and like he gets scared and runs away. But like when I do it, I just like I pick him up. I'm like, "Hey man," he's like, "Hey." I'm like, "You're so cute." He's like, "Thanks." And I'm like, "Okay, time to go." Boom. And I just throw him in.
Yeah. Quick. I think half the problem is that, like, you're, as weird as it sounds, better at, like, manipulating your energy when you're with him. So, like, you're better at, like, pretending it's just another day and like being casual and like not like going in with a negative energy with it. So you like trick him into thinking that he should be calm and it's cool. Yeah. Whereas like Kaylee goes in, she's like, "Okay, here we go," and then she brings that negative energy into it, and
he's like, "Something's up with Mom."
Cats are really good at sensing energies.
He's like, "Oh, something's up with Mom," but I'm just like, if you don't go in this kennel, I have all day to get you in. I don't care.
You're more patient, so you're just
going like in this fucking kennel.
You're going in whether you like it or not, and so you're calm about it. Whereas she brings already tense and negative energy right off the bat, so then he's tense and negative.
Yeah, that's why I think when he runs out the door, like outside the condo, to the foyer, whatever you want to call it, like he doesn't run away from me because like he knows he's not in trouble. Yeah, I'm going to get him. Right, he can't escape me. So he's like, "Okay, well, I just have to." Dad's just coming along. Like I think he just accepts that. He's like, "Dad's just coming along."
It's kind of cute because he like runs a little bit up the stairs or down the hallway and like turns around to see if you're coming. Like he wants you to come with him on the adventure because he trusts you and he knows he's safe with you, but he wants to go explore. Yeah. So he's like, if Dad comes with me while I go explore, then it'll be safe.
For Kaylee, he just runs. He books.
But like, he'd probably run because Kaylee chases him. Yeah. Whereas you don't chase him. You walk towards him and you're like, "Hey, Bootsy, it's time to go back in the condo.
You've had your time.
You've had your fun, but it's time to go back." Then, like, Kaylee's like, "Boots, come on," and like runs.
Or like grabs a spray ball first thing, and I'm like, I don't grab the spray ball first.
We rarely use the spray ball on Boots
because like he just runs up, and I'm like, "Okay, you want to go upstairs? Let's go upstairs for a bit." Yeah. I'm like, "Yeah, that's right, Boots. It's the same thing. It's the same floor, but just up." And then he looks at me. He's like, "I'm where?" And he always looks at me like he's lost. Right. And he meows. He's like, "Where's our place?" I'm like, "Oh my god!" And I grab it, and then I go down. Like this one time, I went out and. Oh my god. This one time I went out and Boots is like upstairs, like on the second floor, and he's meowing. Yeah. And I'm like, "Yeah, Boots, I'm over here. Come on, let's go." He's like, "Meow, meow, meow." I'm like, "Boots, come down." And then he's like, "Meow." I'm like, "No, Boots, we're not up here. We're not going upstairs. Let's go downstairs, please." And then he's like meowing at me still. I'm like, "Oh my god." So then I get upstairs and like I see him on the stairwell. And I'm like, "Okay, Boots, let's go downstairs." And he's still meowing at me. And I look at him, I'm like, "Are you stuck?" And he's like, "Meow." I'm like, "Oh my god, like, you're confused, stuck." Yeah, he's confused. He's confused of where to
like,
go.
This hallway looks exactly the same, but I don't think this is my house.
Yeah, and then he runs to a door. He like sits down. He's like waiting for me to open. I'm like, this isn't your home. And he's like, it's not. I'm like, no, it's not your home. He's dumb
It's
cat.
the same number of doors down.
Yeah, and like I grab him and like I put him on, but like he's not trying to escape.
Yeah.
He's like digging his claws into my shoulder to like
right, like he's holding on.
Yeah, he like wants to hug me.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god, he's scared. And then I go down, and then like he sees the door, and he's like, Mur! And he like runs inside. I'm like, you're crazy. You got stuck.
Yeah. Whereas Maleficent's a little more brave, and so like if she gets out of the condo, thankfully she hasn't tried to escape out the condo yet. But like when she gets out, she's gonna try to get further and further every time she gets out. Yeah, that's what she did in my apartment too. She'd like get out and she'd get a little bit down the hallway because she'd find a smell, and so she'd have to stop and smell that. So then I'd catch her there. But like every time she'd go past that smell because she'd already smelled it, so then she just like would make it further and further and further.
The thing is, it's like if we've talked about this before, but if Maleficent and Boots both get out, I'm going for Maleficent first.
Fair.
Because I know Boots will like just wait for me.
He'll just be confused about why you went to go get the Maleficent, and he'll stay there and watch you to be like, what's going on? Yeah. Whereas like Maleficent will see you grab Boots and she'll be like, oh shit, he's gonna get me, and then she'll like run because she wants to explore.
She'll really run. Yeah, because I know if I grab Maleficent and Boots will just be like, "Oh, she can't come. That's okay. We'll go together." I'm like, boys no, trip. You also are coming with me.
We'll be like, "Boys trip, Dad's coming."
Boots will be like, little exactly. At home. Yeah, Boots exactly will be like, "Boys, we're having a little boys night. That's fun, Dad." I'm like, "No, you're coming with me. You're next."
Yeah, midway.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I'll come out without her, and he's like, "Oh, cool. Now we can go explore." He'll go out like, "No, Boots, you're coming with me also." He's like, "Oh."
I think it's because she's more brave because she's never had a real negative experience in her life. She's been a very pampered cat her whole life. Whereas, like, Boots was with you when you had your active addiction. Like, I'm sure he's seen some shit. Like,
well, just being around that energy.
He's just like, that's the thing, too. Like, I'm not saying, like, I think that you guys ever abused him or anything.
No. But, like just
being too crazy. But just, like, being around that atmosphere.
Well, him seeing me normal and stuff like I am now.
Right.
And then just randomly, I would be a different person.
Right.
He was probably scared. He's probably 100%. Like, who's this person?
Right.
Like I'd be high for like 3 days, and I never saw Boots.
Right.
Like, I actually never saw him.
Right.
I don't know where he was.
Right.
I'm assuming he hid for like 3 days.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
Yeah.
That's my assumption, that he found somewhere to hide because he knew that he didn't feel safer on that version of Dad.
Yeah. And
so that's why he's not as brave, because he's felt real fear, whereas Maleficent's never really had to feel that.
I love how like half this podcast is about relationships and like
and the other half is about the cat.
Yeah.
that's very us though. Like, you know what I mean? Like our lives are really just like about like growth and the kitties.
Exactly.
Those are the two most important things here.
It's crazy. I'm going tomorrow.
That's so crazy. What time is it? 11. And you have to leave at like 7. So in like math, it's like 8 hours. You have to leave in like 8 hours.
I'll miss you though.
Me too. That's crazy. In 8 hours, you're gonna be gone for 2 months.
I like how I was like, I'm not gonna miss you because I'm thinking about the future. Blah blah.
Yeah, like all
crying
week
in the bed.
I've been like crying every once in a while, like all week, because I'm like, I'm just gonna miss you. And then today I was like, I'm good. I feel happy. Blah blah blah. And then tonight you were the first one to cry because you were like, oh shit, I'm gonna miss you. And then that's when I cried because you made me cry. I probably wouldn't have cried tonight until you cried.
I cried.
But then seeing other people cry makes me cry. That's like when my aunt's funeral, I wasn't that close to her, and so I wasn't going to cry at the funeral. And then I saw my mom crying, and I was like, that's it, I'm done. And I was just like sobbing because I could see my mom crying hard. Because it's her sister, right? So she cried really hard. And that's what broke my heart, was seeing my mom like that.
Oh, yeah, because like that's your mom, right? That's like my mom. Like when I visited her last time, and I said, okay, I got to go. And she like made this frowny face, and she started to tear up. And I was like, oh, you're going to make me cry. Yeah. The
same with like when my grandma passed away. Like I didn't know her that well because she got Alzheimer's when I was pretty young. But like my grandpa loved her so much. They were like the couple from Up. Like everyone's dream relationship. Like they were so perfect for each other, and they were so in love and respected each other so much. It was beautiful. And then she got Alzheimer's, and it was really, really sad. And he'd visit her every single day until she died. And then, well, when she got really, really bad and like she couldn't even talk anymore because she didn't even know how to talk, and she like ended up with a feeding tube and whatever, he started going to see her like once a week because every day was just like hard for him. But when she passed away, it was more like a relief for everybody else.
Well,
but
yeah.
like she was the love of his life. So when he told me that she died, it was the only time I'd ever seen like sadness in my grandpa's eyes, and he like voice cracked when he told me that she passed away, and I was like, that's what almost got me. Like that's why I cried that night, because I just like my heart broke for him. I was just like, that was the love of his life. They spent their lives together. Like
honestly, that's
so
like
sad.
the double-edged sword of living like a long life,
right?
You know,
yeah.
Because like as human beings, we've never. Like humans, just like this now, like this century, we are dealing with like a lot of like not old people disease, but like Alzheimer's and like MS, because like we are now hitting a stage where people are living past
longer.
Like our what's it called? Our age,
life expectancy.
Life expectancy is so high now. Right. It's so new.
Right.
Because like back in the day, like life expectancy was like fucking. Do you remember? Like,
probably like 60s, you don't remember, 70s,
but like it was like 20. You know.
Yeah.
When you were in the medieval times, 30 was old. So like imagine like someone living to like 90, right?
That's
and so we just don't know enough about like the brain to like make people live longer.
Right.
But the problem is, it's like at the same time, it's like, do you want to live that long? You know, like do you want to live till you're like 200?
Right.
Right, because like that is another like other thing you have to think about. It's like, because if you live to 200 and your friends don't, you are going to be alone. Like that also would suck.
I think that's also partially why, like before I met you, that I wanted to be alone forever. Like I wanted to be single forever.
Yeah.
Not just because like I felt like nobody would love me or whatever. Like I had just accepted that I was going to be alone forever, but I also kind of like I felt like I was doing people a service by being alone forever, which sounds crazy, but it's like because I'm gonna get Alzheimer's, right? Like it's a when, not an if, because it runs in both sides of my family. All the women in both sides of my family have gotten it, like 3 generations back on my mom's side, and it's a gross and really awful disease and really sad. And so like a part of me was like, I don't want to put somebody else through what my grandpa had to go through, you know what I mean? So like if I just like stay alone forever and never have kids, nobody's gonna have to go through that with me. I'll just like die alone and not remember that I'm alone, so it's fine.
I think you made yourself like a hero in that instant.
I guess.
Because it was easier to be a hero than to be rejected by someone.
Right. Maybe that was part of it. Maybe that was like what I told myself.
Because, to
make myself feel better, so I wouldn't put myself out there and then have to get rejected.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense. Probably. But also, like,
will you remember me when you have Alzheimer's?
Yeah, I think so. Because, like, when my Oma got it, like, I don't remember much when my grandma got it because I was really young. But, like, now that my Oma has it on my mom's side, she, for a long time, thought that she was still, like, in her 20s when she, like, my grandpa was working for the Greyhound and my mom was a kid and whatever. And it was fun because she, like, my mom would come to visit, and my mom's name is Heather, but she always went by Elaine when she was growing up. Everybody called her by her middle name. And so sometimes she'd like come and my mom or my Oma would be like, oh, who are you? And my mom would be like, I'm Elaine. And my Oma would be like, oh, that's so funny. My daughter's name's Elaine. And my mom's like, yeah, I know. Yeah, it was like kind of sad because my mom's a grown woman. So she's like, well, that's not my daughter Elaine. My daughter Elaine's a little kid. And like my husband still works for the Greyhound, which honestly was kind of a blessing for them that like she thought that he still worked for Greyhound because she was used to him like going away for days at a time because he'd be driving the bus for days and then come home. So then when he'd leave at the end of the day to go to his apartment and leave her at the nursing home, she'd be like, oh, where are you going? And he'd be like, oh, I have to go to work. And she'd be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Because it was normal for him to just like leave and be gone for days. You know what I mean? So that was kind of a blessing for them because then that could be an easy explanation for why he has to leave, you know? Because like with my grandma, it was weird. Like I remember...
How old would you say you get it at though?
Well, I mean, both of my grandmas were in their 80s, maybe late 70s when they got it. So like pretty late at least. So like that's the one good thing about it is like the likelihood I'll have early onset is pretty slim. Like I'm probably gonna be old when I get it, which is at least that's nice. At least I'll get to live a long, happy life, hopefully, before I get it.
That makes me kind of sad.
Yeah, it is a little sad.
But I mean, the only silver lining that it's going to happen when you're 80.
Yeah, like that's the silver lining to it. Yeah, I'm going to be old when it happens.
Yeah, but not even that. It's like we have fingers crossed, knock on wood. Like the life I see for us is like beyond past 30 years. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Like if you do get Alzheimer's, when you do, you get Alzheimer's. When you get Alzheimer's,
yeah.
when you do, I don't see it. I don't see you remembering like us not being together.
Right.
Least. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think I'll remember like this, like our early relationship or like probably early marriage or whatever, you know, like now in the next 10 years or so is probably like when I'll remember the most, which is kind of nice.
That is nice.
Because it's a nice happy time in my life. I'm happy right now.
Me too.
It'd be nice to remember this forever.
Okay. I think I'm done.
That's fair. Sounds good.
Bye.
Bye.